Madam President, I rise today to talk about the topic of the week. Although some of us have been working on this for some time, many of us in this body have actually been addressing this over the last 20 years or so. I'm new to this body, only been here a few years, but last year I got involved in this, and we're dealing with the immigration issue today, not just the DACA issue. Our current immigration system is outdated, threatens our national security, and does not meet the needs of our economy. The issues before the United States Senate this week is not just about DACA, which is but one manifestation of our broken immigration policy. Rather, President Trump, while offering a generous solution for DACA recipients, has proposed a broader solution to our legal immigration system that will ensure we're not back here in just a few short years dealing with the same problem again. Over the past 11 years, Congress has failed to fix our broken immigration system three times, primarily because it has attempted to solve the entire situation, the comprehensive problem, and that would be the legal situation, the temporary work visa problems, and then the illegal situation. The Secure and Succeed Act only deals with our legal immigration policy. From the onset of these negotiations, President Trump has been consistent with what he wants as part of any immigration deal dealing with the legal immigration system. He gave us a clean framework weeks ago, months ago, and he said that any plan that didn't fit that framework would never become law. The Secure and Succeed Act that we're dealing with this week is the only plan that actually fits that framework. It's the only plan the President has said he will sign into law. The framework laid out by President Trump has four parts. First, it provides a solution for the DACA situation and ends the program. It does so in a compassionate, responsible way that every member of the other side of the aisle should support and has supported at various times. President Trump went out of his way to reach across the aisle to Democrats when he expanded the population that was being discussed in the DACA situation and actually talked about providing long-term certainty for this population group. Second, this bill secures our borders with additional border security and a wall where required. It puts $25 billion in a trust fund toward border security and a wall system that would be spent over the next few years to provide better national security on our country's borders. It ends policies like catch and release that encourage more illegal immigration. It makes critical changes to the immigration court system to clear our backlogs, expedite court hearings, and give law enforcement the resources they need to properly do their jobs. Third, this bill fixes the flaws in the current immigration system that spurred this DACA problem in the first place and incentivized illegal immigration. It protects the immediate family of the primary worker. 72% of Americans, Madam President, believe immigration should include the primary worker, their spouse, and their immediate children, which is exactly what this bill does. In addition, 2/3 of Americans actually believe that the solution here for illegal immigration includes the DACA fix, an end of chain migration, border security, and an end to diversity lottery. 2/3, Madam President. That's a Harvard poll that was put out several weeks ago, and there are others that actually corroborate that. This bill also expedites the backlog, something that wasn't even being discussed before we brought this bill forward. This bill ensures that primary families of immediate citizens, and some of these are recent green card recipients and new citizens, are trying to get their families in. There's a backlog. And we brought that in this bill and assured that the backlog would be taken care of and these families would be reunited, which is what most Americans want. Fourth, the Secure and Succeed Act ends the archaic visa lottery program. This failed program is dangerous, filled with fraud, and has proven to be an avenue for terrorists to enter our country. We simply must fix these national security flaws and close the loopholes in our current immigration system that incentivizes illegal immigration. If we don't deal with these problems that got us here in the first place, we'll be right back here in just a few short years. And this is the President's objective. If we're going to deal with it, let's deal with it once and for all on the legal immigration side and then move on to the temporary work visas and solve that as well. I don't think anyone in this body wants to be back here in a few short years. Many on the other side and on our side have been trying to find a common solution to this for decades. I believe we have a historic opportunity right now, Madam President, to do something that people in this body have wanted to do for a long time, and that is to solve our legal immigration system in a very compassionate, fair way that will benefit every American. That's why we have to deal with these issues in a responsible and fair way. Politicians have talked about this for far too long. I've discovered, Madam President, by being in this body, it's easy for some to just kick this down the road. It's a great pandering opportunity for one side on the other to blame this on them. Unfortunately, the American people deserve better than that. And we have a clean opportunity right here to do what most people in America want us to do. There's no reason other than politics for the Secure and Succeed Act to not have widespread bipartisan support in this body this week. Each part of the Secure and Succeed Act has been supported by many Democrats at various points over the last 30 years. As a matter of fact, in the 90s, in 1994, Barbara Jordan presented the results of their bipartisan commission report, Immigration Commission report, to then President Bill Clinton. Their recommendations at that time were to change our immigration system from our current country cap chain migration system to more of a skill-based system like Canada and Australia. They knew the flaws then of what was included in our immigration law that was written in 1965 that actually incentivized illegal immigration. Unfortunately, it seems that because these ideas are now being put forward by President Donald Trump, the Democrats all of a sudden disagree with these principles. President Trump has crafted a deal that is tough, but more than generous. Nobody asked him to expand the number or even talk about certainty in the long term. He brought that forward because he wants this done. He wants this solved, and he wants it ended right now. The Secure and Succeed Act follows the framework President Trump has crafted. It makes compromises on both sides of this issue. It deals with the DACA issue, secures the border, and fixes critical flaws in our immigration system that incentivize illegal immigration today, to ensure we're not back here in just a few short years, dealing with the problem again for a new wave of young people brought here illegally. Again, the President has said repeatedly that the Secure and Succeed Act is the only bill he will sign into law. Leadership in the United States House of Representatives has also been clear. The only plan they will bring up to a vote in their body is one that will be signed into law. The Secure and Succeed Act is that plan. Madam President, we don't have many opportunities in this body for common thought and common position. We have one here. I've seen what most people in this body have said about these issues, and it's so much, it impresses me that there's commonality of thought. This body, at the root, wants to solve the DACA issue, but they also want to solve the problems that caused this issue in the first place. This president called for a compassionate compromise when he met with Democrats and Republicans several weeks ago in the White House, and we all agreed it was time to do that for the American people. But the American people want to be assured that the borders are secured. They want to be assured that the policies embedded in our immigration system don't create another wave of illegal citizens. They also want this archaic diversity lottery, which has never worked in its original intent and is nothing but a loophole for terrorists today, to be ended. I want to say one other thing. I think there's too much talk about this bill cutting immigration. That is not the intent here. The intent is, long-term, we've got a bill in here called the RAISE Act that would actually move us to a merit-based system like Canada and Australia. That's not included in the Secure and Succeed Act. What is included here is a first step toward a long-term solution, not only in our legal immigration side, but it sets us up to then deal with the temporary work visas and then ultimately the illegal population. I believe, Madam President, as I know you do, it's time for this body, as we say so many times, to put our self-interest, our partisan interest aside and do what we now have hard evidence that tells us what the American people want to do. Thank you, Madam President. I yield my time and note the absence of a quorum.